The Angelina divorce, and things have gotten ugly really fast here. The FBI is now getting involved, and they're deciding whether or not they should open an investigation into Brad Pitt.
Well, he's accused of being physically and verbally abusive to one of his kids on a flight, his 15-year-old son Maddox. TMZ reporting that Brad and Angelina were in a fight, and Maddox had jumped in, and perhaps things escalated from there. Of course, these are allegations right now.
Right. So the case was turned over to the sheriff's office there in L.A., and then it was turned over to LAPD. And so now the FBI is involved only because they were up in a plane and crossing state lines. So we'll see how it goes. But, that brought up a big question. As parents, we often yell at our kids, and some of us spank our kids. I've never spanked my kids. Sometimes I think that's a mistake.
Well, and you go back and forth. Does spanking really do anything? But the question is, when does it cross the line, the punishment?
Right.
Joining us this morning is psychiatrist Dr. Mike Yasinski, whom we've had on before. And you deal with this in your practice often as far as family dynamics and things like that. You see this. We're just talking off camera. Yeah, when does it cross the line? Because some people were raised and they were spanked before, and, it seems harmless, but there is a line.
Yeah, there's definitely data that shows that spanking can be harmful to the child long term. The data is mixed, like there is kind of with any topic out there. Crossing the line, I think, to me, there's kind of two ways a parent can really understand if they cross the line. So if you're a parent and you find that you're getting really angry and frustrated with the child, and you give them a good spank, and that isn't the end of it, so you keep getting angry, you do multiple spankings, that's when one reason where it's just inappropriate, when it's tied to anger or too much. Second is when it becomes your primary means of punishment. So if your primary means of punishment as a parent is spanking every time, then that should be an indicator to you that that's a problem. And
it's not working if you have to keep using it, I would imagine.
Exactly, and spanking works in a very select situation. Generally, spanking, it just isn't an effective tool. So again, why do something that doesn't work? That's my opinion.
And do it in anger, too, is what you're saying with these kids.
Sure.
So let's get to the verbal abuse that they're saying happens. I mean, I've got teenagers. Every once in a while, they drive you crazy, and you got to yell at them.
Sure.
I mean, at what point is that bad?
Well, again, yelling, I think, is, if it's excessive, it's indicative of, that child probably isn't behaving on a regular basis in the way you want them to. So my favorite way to modify teens or kids if they're not doing something dangerous in the moment where you need an immediate stoppage is logical consequences. So what that is, for example, if your child is bullying his sister, then you give him a punishment that involves maybe cleaning the sister's room for a week or doing tasks for the sister for a week, because that's going to give somebody lots of time to learn about exactly the specific situation that they did something wrong in, and thus they will walk away not doing that anymore, and they'll be less likely to do something like that next time.
Okay, and I would imagine, I know we have to wrap, but the verbal abuse has long-term effects too, especially if it's deep verbal abuse that happens over and over.
Sure, and again, it's tied to anger. The more angry you are and the more verbally abusive you are, then the more damage that potentially does. Now, not if it's kept to a minimum, that's okay as a tool. Again, just like spanking, when it becomes regular, that's when you start to have some trauma for the child.
Doctor, thank you so much for being here. That's good information.
Thank you. Nice seeing you.
You too.